Good morning.
Good morning.
August 24th. I almost didn't know where we were. And pitch perfect pitch. Either one.
Yeah, I kind of like perfect pitch because that's baseball, but I think you're going a different direction with this one.
Well, it's kind of a little bit of both. You'll see where we're going. Of course, we're going to have our sports references, but this topic it's a hard one because it's so intangible, but it is tangible. It's not something you'd say, okay, let's put this on our timeline. How are we coming across? How do we analyze what the guest sees? What is the energy levels of our salon, so on and so forth. We've had a fun week watching sports things. We've watched. It's called Hard Knocks, and it's this year in the NFL. They're following the Cleveland Browns, which of course is close to my heart. And you get to watch. The language is bad. I need to tell you that right now, but you get to watch how the offensive coach and the defensive coaches, and the head coach, and the quarterback coach, and how everyone is learning and managing and how they're taking these pros and holding them accountable for performance over and over and over again. We also watched the Alabama team head coach Nick and watching his preseason efforts, and it was amazing. I mean, I could watch that all day long.
There was a quote that I really liked, and it was during the conditioning phase of the football, and it said, "Do it right, do it light, do it wrong, do it long." And I kind of get from a conditioning standpoint what that means. If you're not doing the activity right, you're going to do it a long time out in this hot weather. If you do it right, we'll go light with it. Well, that happens in the salon as well. You do it wrong, you're going to do it wrong for a long time. Mm-hmm. And if we're not looking at how to make that practice better and better and better, how to serve the guest better and better and better, you're going to do it a long time before you enjoy the success of this industry.
I was so surprised watching these professional players be coached as if they never played the game before. That's what I'm amazed at, is the way that they'll talk to them and say, do it right. You're not pivoting that foot. My gosh, you've been playing football for sometimes 15 years, and you're hearing that you don't pivot your foot right now in a spring training of a football game, or maybe you developed a bad habit. So what are you two doing?
It always comes back, anything always comes back to basics. And it always comes back to the little things. I think that when you think about it, and whether it's finding the right pitch to come back to this, or finding the right body position when doing hair, finding the right way to meet and greet a guest, finding the right way to mix color. Everybody gets the big stuff right. They get the big stuff, but it's the little things. You know, I watched a lot of light bulbs go on Monday when Jason Reyes was teaching, and as he talked about things of the clipper, for example, or clipper over comb, he was teaching, and he said the comb is your fingers, and light bulbs went on all throughout the audience because sometimes clipper over comb intimidates cosmetologists, and he said just think of this comb as your fingers, and again, there were people that came up afterwards and said there were so many little points like that. So it's the little stuff. It's elbow out, elbow in, things of that nature that he talked about a lot as he went on. And I think that isn't that the truth? It's not the big. You would think, okay, it's using the right scissor, it's using the right product, it's using the right, but it comes down to little things like elbow in, elbow out.
And going back to hospitality, I mean, I think restaurants get the entree right. They might get the salmon on the plate, but the presentation wasn't right. They might take it out to the table, but the salt and peppers are dirty, or the introduction card on the table is filthy, or the table was just wiped down and it's still wet when you seat a guest down. They get the big things right, but they screw up what it feels like to be a customer. They don't have a clue how to look at the business through the customer's eyes. So Pitch Perfect is really, really going to talk about that. I always like to start off with the definition. And so when you look at the definition of pitch perfect. It's exactly right in tone, style, mood, and I should have put and pitch instead of or pitch, but exactly right in tone, style, mood, or pitch. Now I know it's referring to music, but we're going to refer this to the mood, the style, the tone, and what the business sounds like. And then in perfect pitch, it's the ability to recognize the pitch of a note or to produce any given note, a sense of absolute pitch. And when someone will go, ooh, ooh, they're off key, ooh, ooh, they went sharp, ooh, they went flat, because they didn't hear it themselves, but you know when it's not right. You can sense that.
Well, and that's the thing to think about with this is that a musician or a vocalist might be able to identify that the pitch doesn't sound right, but the novice, the consumer of that music, only knows it doesn't sound quite right. They don't know whether it's pitch. I think back to all the times of watching American Idol, and all of those people would say, "Oh, you're pitchy, you're pitchy." Mm-hmm. I didn't hear pitchy. I just didn't enjoy them as much as I enjoyed the other vocalists. And so let's look into the salon when it comes to that. The consumer of our product just knows when it feels right and when it doesn't feel right. It's the difference between just getting a haircut and having a salon experience.
But our job is to make sure that we can identify what they're hearing. We've got to identify what they're sensing. We've got to identify what they see.
Well, and how many times I go back to Tom Peters as a phenomenal business mind, kind of guru status. He said that when you walk into a great business, you can feel it. Mm. It's that pitch that you're feeling. It's the sound. It's the feel of the business. You can tell. When you walk into an Apple store, you can feel it. When you walk into a Starbucks, you can feel it. People have often said when they walk into one of our schools, they can feel it. They can feel that there's something there that's extraordinary. And so if you're not hearing that about when people walk into your salon or your shop, I think really that's something to consider. That's a comment that to me is more important than a Google review or a Yelp review or just somebody. What are people saying about the feel of your business? Because if the pitch is in fact perfect, they will feel it.
Yes, I think there's a big difference there. So now what we need to talk about is how do we create standards for tone, style, mood, and pitch? How do we create that? What do you do to set the tone of the business? What does it feel like when you walk in the door? Does it take a while for it to have warm-up time? Do we have energy right away? Do we know game's on, showtime? We're open now for business. Everyone's in their places. Let's start the process of servicing the guests today. I was talking to a salon owner recently, and she said, I've got some people that during downtime they eat. I can't wait to have downtime because they go back and eat. And I can't imagine that doesn't transfer out to the rest of the staff, who is maybe fully busy, right? Fully committed behind their chair. They're starving, yet people during downtime eat all day long, right?
Right.
So the tone of the business is also, is there a commitment to serve even when I don't have a guest in place? And I was talking to a salon this morning. It's not okay because I don't have a guest doesn't mean that I don't have to have presence in the business.
Exactly right.
Right? So I need to be introducing myself to everyone that comes in, see who could have take a helping hand right now, who can I learn from right now, and it's so funny because, and I hope I say this right, when I was first in the restaurant industry and I was trying to learn different capacities of it, I would often say to my boss, and I think I've shared this with you in the past, I'd say, hey, is there anything I can take off your plate? Or is there anything I can do? Do you need any help? I've got some, it's not busy up here in the front, and I can do some things for you. And he said, do you know how to extend inventory? And I said, yes, I know how to extend inventory. How do you do it? And he showed me. I said, well, that's how I do it. Well, I didn't know how to do it, but I just learned it right then. The point was, some people think that they need to be paid in order to do something like that. It wasn't about getting paid. Being paid to do a function wasn't as important to me as to learn a function, right? To make my skill level broader and bigger. It wasn't about the payment, it was about what I was willing to do and what I could take back from it.
Well, one of the things that we've said for a long time is that when you're at work, when you're in the salon, when you're in your business, either be working on your work, meaning seeing a guest, helping another person in the salon, introducing yourself to the guests, as Terry said, or be working on you. Be working on making you a better professional, a better teammate, a better member of that salon, a better embodiment of that salon's culture and spirit. And so work on your work or work on you is a really important premise. So really, in that light, there is no downtime.
Well, if you look at that, and exactly, there should not be. We're poised and ready, and if we're there, we're an extra resource to make whatever's happening in there pop or look better. So I could be coming out, I could be doing some merchandising, I could be assisting the front desk administratively, doing something. I could be introducing myself to guests, I could be lending a hand to maybe offer assistance behind someone else that I could be learning a new skill from. I could be doing a mannequin head over in the corner. There's so much I could do to add value to the business, and it's not going to happen in that back room sitting there. And some people don't get that. And then that becomes the tone of that salon is, where is everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have a guest, you hide, versus you don't have a guest, you're still present. They don't know you have a guest or not because you're always present to everybody. That's key.
When you're out in the business working on your work or working on you, and people can see it, if we're doing it right, we're contagious. We're drawing people in. People want to know, what's this one doing? What's that one doing? I see them working on a doll head.
They're always out here working.
I see them working on making sure their station looks right. I see them helping in the front take-home area. Those are the types of things that you want people to say about you, even if they're not your guests, because they are the people that are going to send guests into you.
So you look at the tone of the business. So we're going to set the tone. We're open. Now, what does that look like? Do we all know what the responsibility is right at that moment, where I need to be? Now, I might not have a 9 o'clock guest. So what am I going to do at 9 o'clock? Maybe it's all prep work to prepare the entire team for the day. But I still think that the tone of the business should be witnessing people wanting to assist others, to really help them. You know, you look at the style of our business. The style is of course our image and how we carry ourselves and how the salon looks. Is it organized? Is it attention to detail? Are things in place for a reason to be able to serve more easily? And then you look at the mood of the business. What are our standards going to be? And how are you going to identify these things? The mood of the business, you could have a customer that can ruin the mood. You can have an employee that ruins the mood. You can have a boss. I've done it. You know, I've got something heavy on my mind, and I can change the whole mood of a room immediately. How do we do and protect these standards? How do we do that? And you know, I was telling Steve recently, I was witnessing things in a business, and I said, there's just no energy there. It doesn't mean it's not committed. It just doesn't know what the energy is. We've got to find our acceptable standards in these categories and be able to know when to shift it. How do we shift it? So I kind of should have moved one of the slides because I'm thinking about something now, and it's not coming till later on. Okay. So we need to set the standards for this. So let's go through these again really quick. Our tone, the tone of our business. How do you set the tone? Oh, and that's what I want to say about Cole. You have followed Cole during a lot of these e-learnings because we're talking. He just had his first, this will be his first week of playing college ball. And he talked about tone, not using the word tone, but he talked about tone a lot. And I said, asking him, I talk to him every day about his practices, and I'll say, what do you think about your practices between high school practice and college practice? He said, oh my gosh, they are so organized, absolutely purposeful, organized. You know exactly what you need to do, where you need to go, how you need to do it, how much time you're going to spend there, rotate, shift, shift, shift. And this college now has set a whole new tone for him in his mental capacity thinking about the game of baseball. Mm-hmm. That's amazing to me.
And a different urgency, and a different sense of importance.
They set a tone of taking it seriously. You know, when you're organized like that, it's not casual. You take it seriously. He got reprimanded. Was it the first day?
First or second day.
Second day. And so it was hot, and they had done, and he said, okay, practice is over, and that means that you start cleaning up the field. And he said, you know, I took my baseball pants on, I had shorts on underneath, and I was going to get a little cooler and go do my work assignments on the field. And they yelled out to him, all stop. Where's your pants? Well, I took them off, coach. You don't take your pants off. Okay,
Till
coach.
Practice is over.
Till practice is over. And he thought practice was over. But practice isn't over until our side work is done too. Mm-hmm. And so what are the acceptable standards? That's an acceptable standard of that coach, is keep your pants on, right? Kind of sounds a little funny, but
yeah.
But it's true. So what are your standards?
It's a really good thing for the salon too.
Yeah, keep your pants on in the salon. So when you look at tone, their organization, what they need to get done, their preparation, what they've been thinking about, how they want to check out their players and see what their strengths are, that's a tone.
Well, yeah, and talking about setting up a future reservation sets a tone, sets an importance. Well, talking about take-home.
I want to do that. I want to do that, but I want to talk about this from a leadership standpoint. A laid-back leader, what Cole said about his coach is that, you know, he's tough. Mm-hmm. You talk to him over on the side, he's a great guy, but when he's coaching, he's all business. He used an expression for him, right?
Yeah, it's the only way he's been able to sustain himself and be one of the top
college coaches.
Yeah.
But he's a no-nonsense guy.
Right.
Now, if you're laid back and have no presence or have no urgency or have no playbook or have no plan, and you're not a training salon, even though you say you want to bring more people in, your tone is, we don't take it seriously.
Well, I think back to the ESPN show with Nick Saban and Alabama, their summer practices, their training camp. Mm-hmm. And Nick was sitting in a conference room, and there were so many people in his conference room. There were probably between 30 and 40 coaches that were sitting around Nick talking about how they were going to prepare for this training camp. And one of the things he said is that practices are not for organization. You, as a coach, are to be organized prior to the practice. You don't get organized in front of your team. Your team has to spend that practice time doing what they're there to do. If you are organizing, or if it's confusing, or if you're having to teach during practice, you said if you have to teach, you teach in the classroom. You teach with film. You don't teach on the playing field. And you know, again, you try and say, what can I learn from this? And there's so much. What it said was, we value our practice time. We value the time where we are honing our skills, working on it, trying to be the very best, preparing for what happens when we hit the wall. Because every team hits adversity. Every team hits the wall. So if we're going to do that, we can't be teaching on the fly. They've got to be going from what they know and what they experience.
They do a little bit of it, but they're not going to go back into it and do a whole segment.
They don't stop the practice.
Yeah, they bullet teach and yell things out, but they're not going to go in and create a new play right then.
Right.
It's amazing to me. And you know what, if you think about organization and having systems in place and rules and regulations and yeah, I think it helps everyone understand what you're trying to accomplish. I mean, it's no question he wants to win another championship. How do we do that? And once you have the tone in place of organization, urgency, and you don't wing it, then your style, your mood, and pitch, that all changes too.
Well, and something I want you to think about is he doesn't just want to win a championship. He's planning to win a championship. Now, he may fall short of that.
Oh, and he's expected to.
But he's expected to. His season is considered a failure if they don't. But as a coach, from his leadership standpoint, everything he does is preparing to win a national championship. Are we preparing
To have a great year, yeah.
to have a great year, to have a great day, to have a great month, to have a world-class salon? What's our preparation? What are we expecting as a result of what we do?
Good. All right, so now, here's our acceptable standards. We're kind of talking about that right now, but how do you protect it? How do you protect the standards you're talking about? Ooh, sorry. So when you look at it, you have to protect this, whether it's your sanitation, your service, bringing new people on, making sure they fit. We've got 2 new people in our customer service division, and it's not natural yet. It's awkward. Their personalities are a little awkward, as they should be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they don't know how to fit yet, but we don't say go in the back room and gossip, right? Or we don't want them to have time alone. We keep them with us, and we check on them, and I check almost every day. How are you doing? Then I off to the side without them, I say, how are they doing? And I can give tips on it. You know, what I found is our staff that's training them is still afraid to say the real things.
Meaning lead to their face.
Oh, so many people
They'd
still
rather talk
struggle
about
with
it.
that. Yeah, they're doing this. I said, have you told them? Well, I don't know, Terry. I don't know how to say that. I said, well, you have to figure out a way to say it, because they have to know that that's what we're thinking. One of the girls has this intensity, not bad, from her past, her communication with a teammate, I don't think was as encouraged. Here, it's absolutely necessary.
Mm-hmm.
So her intensity of answering a question, because if we ask you a question, that means you think I'm not doing my job, from her past. No, we're checking for knowledge. And so you can see how those 2 things butt up against each other. How do you protect is by checking for knowledge, checking for skill, checking on the attitude, checking on the fit, feeling the tone, feeling the energy, feeling the presence. Now the other one, a little bit too comfortable too soon. By day 2, we knew too much about her. So you have to say, okay, where'd you work before that? You got to dump your whole life out in front of everyone. We got to pace her and say, look, we're judging you on your personal life right now versus your professional contribution.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to lead her too, which we did. My staff would rather lay on the street than have those conversations, because they're not easy. But if you don't have them, it's going to be a distraction, and you're not going to be able to protect. And long term, you're going to feel the effects of that. I don't know if that makes sense. Gosh, I hope so. So our daily shifts, like for example, new employee doesn't know how to knock on the door, wait to be acknowledged, then walk in and say, excuse me. We have to teach that. You can't go.
A different way.
You want it on the phone.
Be out to dinner, be out to a business dinner, and have the server just walk up and start talking and interrupt your conversation.
It's the same thing, ruins the whole mood.
It does. And so we know that doesn't come naturally. It has to be taught.
Oh, yeah, you have to say, position yourself, pace yourself. It's like teaching your kids manners.
Yeah. And it happens in the salon.
Kelly said yesterday, Kelly Burridge, she said, we just taught our son, I think he's 2, how to ask to be excused from the table. He's done. Now, he doesn't ask. He just announces, excuse me, and just gets up and leaves. She goes, no, you have to wait till we say it's okay and that you can go. And he says, excuse me, done. So that's all he's learned so far. But they have to notice and respond. If they don't, that will be the way he leaves the table.
A great service provider has to be a great noticer.
Oh, Well, and
A
so
great
does a
service
leader.
provider notices things that other people have no idea of. And so what is it that you see? How do you teach your people to see? We talk about scan rate. How do you scan your business? How do you know as an owner? You can look around the salon and you can see who's having a ball, who's on their game, what guest is really enjoying, what guest is nervous, what guest is impatient because the time's going too far.
And even when I walk around here, I'll say I try not to overstep my bounds with someone who has a direct report, but you and I have the position that we have to talk if we notice anything. But there's many times I'll say, what's going on with that one over there? She doesn't look right to me right now. But why is he buried? Did you check on her at the front? She's in tears right now. You've got to notice all the time, and then you have to respond. You can't just say she's in tears and walk away. And there's obvious ones, but there's also other. Why does her station look a mess? Why does she look a mess? Why does she look like a chicken with her head cut off running around the business? Why isn't anyone responding to that? So you have to notice everything.
Mm-hmm. And then the next step is respond. How do you respond as a leader? How do you respond that's consistent with your culture, that's consistent with your brand?
Oh, and you must respond all the time. What's funny is Emma, I don't know if you heard her last night. Mom, can I talk to you privately at the bottom of the stairs, right? And she wanted to ask me something. And to me, that's showing some maturity. So I kind of listened to that. And then how do you notice and how do you respond? You're doing it as a parent all the time. You have to do it in business too. And a statement we always say is what are you willing to risk to bring out the greatness in someone? I mean, they want to be good. I had a young lady this morning just, it's like this, and I want it's like, and and I said, well, first of all, you don't sound professional. You got to get rid of the it's like, and you've got to get rid of the, and you don't sound crisp. So we're going to work on dialogue. You might be really intelligent, but you don't sound intelligent. So you got to make sure those two things link up.
Well, what made me think about that is that we all know and we all celebrate the career and the person and the presence of Vidal Sassoon. But I wonder, would we have even known Vidal Sassoon had someone not said to him, you don't speak like someone who would service the class of guests that you want to service. You need to get speaking coaching. And he went to acting school as a result of it to learn how to speak. How many of our team needs to go to acting school? That equivalent, not literally, but that equivalent. How many of our team needs to go to acting school to be able to serve the guest that you as a leader want them to serve in your business?
Well, you even need to teach them to communicate with you. What she said to me this morning was, I really prefer color and I want to be a color specialist. And so I said, are you departmentalized? No. I said, then you don't have that luxury, number one. But number two, if you could have said that differently by saying, I'm really working on my chemical percentage every day. I want to bring up that color category.
Mm-hmm.
The one way you sounded was making it sound like grooming hair is not important. So it's all in how you say it and be able to position. I use this because I learned this from Steve's sister that works in a hospital. I learned it from your mom.
We'd be there and we'd hear it.
It was a funny night. Steve's dad was in the hospital, and Steve's mom and Steve's sister were with us. And I don't know why I was there without you I know, you went to be with the kids because there was a tornado. So anyway, we were there. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
You probably remember that a little bit. So while we were there, they said, code red. And I said, well, what's code red? And they said, that means there's a fire in the hospital. Everything's fine. They'll give us secondary instructions should we need it. But she said, we know what to do. This is to alert us.
It means something to everyone that works in the hospital.
Everyone in the hospital knows there's a fire, and this is the first.
Imagine hey, everybody, there's a fire.
There's a fire, everyone, bless your heart. Then About a half hour later, they said, code gray, code gray. And I said, well, what's code gray? That means severe thunderstorms are in the area, right on top of us, and that we need to be on alert. It's okay. Then it went code black. And code black meant a tornado is, funnels have been spotted in our area and start moving the patients. Well, they didn't say that. They just said code black. Immediately, the nurses, all the doors started closing. Patients were brought out into the hallways. It was so orchestrated.
Set everything in motion.
When your dad said, I'm not moving, don't touch my bed. And you went to be with Christy and Brian to their house during this tornado. Here's my point on this. They didn't do that by accident. They did that because they wanted something in place that would get our attention to immediately say, how are we going to respond best, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we could have blue, purple, green, yellow, pink. I don't care what it is, but maybe we have something that, we all know what code blue is. Code blue is someone who's in trouble and they're coding or whatever, and they need hospital assistance. What are our codes?
Well, I think back to, excuse me, in Robert's salon, in Robert Croming's salon, that they found, and we concur, that when you announce the next guest has arrived, whether or not you rush from that point on, the guest feels that you are rushing and you're cutting short on your service to them. So they found a way to communicate that, and for them it was, have you seen my red comb?
Green comb. Yeah, it was green, wasn't it?
That just went, well, it went from colors.
Oh, okay.
And depending on how anxious the thing was, and all the way up to, you got a box of combs. Have you seen the box of combs? The point is finding a way. That's their code. That could be their code red, their code gray, their code black.
Find a way. And we're going to use this to get our attention. One could be on sanitation. One could say,
one could be on dialogue.
Purple could be on dialogue. It could be on energy. It could be our referral percentage is terrible today. But owners say, I don't have time to bring everyone together to do a timeout. Yeah, you do, but you can say code blue.
Absolutely.
Right? You can do something to change.
Something. Absolutely.
Change what's in place.
We tried it once on a family vacation.
Oh!
And it was, I wonder what JP is
doing. We first got married, and I wasn't used to having children around me, and I think we were in San Diego, and he said, just let me know when it's too much for you. And I said, I'm going to say, I wonder what Eloise and John Paul are doing right now. The kids figured it out in about 2 minutes.
About 2 times. Well, you were saying it every couple of minutes.
Miles.
They figured it out. So.
I went, oh my God, I don't even do this. So when you look at it, what are you going to say that is going to get our attention? Because mood or energy, there's times we're speaking and all we have to do is put thumbs up to each other. We don't bring the energy up.
Mm-hmm.
We've lost them. We've gotten a little bit intense. We're not playful enough. We have to be contagious, and we're leading this thing. You got to read your audience, and yours are your customers, and they're your people, and you'll be able to find it. Sometimes it's break it up. What was Gino's? TB. Talk business, right? So they had codes too. What do ours need to be? Because you might not be able to have time to call a timeout, and you don't have time to wait till Saturday to do it in a meeting. But you have an opportunity right now to say something. And when a defensive coach, when the defense comes off the field at a football game, you see all that defensive linemen take their role, and that defensive coach goes, this is what I saw. This is what needs to be improved upon. We might not have that time. Excuse me, but how are we going to do it? What's funny is to pull this reaction time off is going to take disciplines and people not taking personally. I think about this, why are the big things obvious and the small things not obvious, right? A fire alarm is obvious. A severe thunderstorm alarm is obvious, and a tornado alarm is obvious. Okay, what about negative energy? People looking half asleep, not picking up their feet, not having a sense of urgency when they're escorting the guests through take-home. Those things aren't obvious. You know, when you're at a hospital and these are obvious and probably get quick reaction time, but what about a patient that's ringing their buzzer, ringing their buzzer, ringing their buzzer? They're thinking, that lady in 202, if she rings that buzzer one more time. However, to that lady, it was urgent.
To that lady, it was urgent. Also, there are things that are normal sounds. For example, you say a tornado has touched down in the area, and that's obvious. I think back to going down to Louisiana after Katrina and talking with the people who had lived there all their lives and had seen, they could name all the hurricanes that had come in.
And all the tornado alarms, they just ignored them, remember?
And they just thought, this one isn't going to be a big deal either. And then they were surprised by it. So I think that happens in business. Sometimes the warnings, maybe the things that we think are obvious, become white noise.
Well, I can tell you from being in the restaurant, let's just say, I would be, let's say, at the front, and for some reason we got hit. Now, there's 20 waitresses in the back ready for their first table, but I got hit up there. Where are you to come out and say, hey, I can take my first table. I don't have to wait for you. How do you not know someone else, some other area is making us look sloppy? Right? Get in there and help out. And sometimes we make decisions that are convenient for us, but not convenient for the guests that are experiencing it. We had a situation this last week where I said, why did we close those registers too soon? Were you there? I can't remember, Brian. And I said, why did we close those too soon? I said, I see a line of 6 people deep and 2 lines here. I wouldn't have closed them yet. You just say it now. There's nothing we can do. We can't open those registers up, but I think we'll know next time. Maybe let's make sure that room was completely empty before we make those decisions. You've got to say what you see. That's really, really important. Say what you see. Pitch perfect presence. I don't know how to help with this. I had a class this week, and I think I've said this before to people, but a couple girls on the way out, and I said, oh my God, in my mind, I saw you for the first time just now. You had no presence in my audience whatsoever. Mm-hmm. As a student, you weren't on the edge of your seat. You weren't taking notes. You had no energy. One girl was laying on another person next to her. And I said, are you this tired every day? I'm always tired. I said, okay. Because now you're making me tired. If someone would have said that to me, a speaker, and I was in an audience, I would have changed my whole body position. Would you not have? Mm-hmm. Now you're making me tired. It should change it all. I thought, oh my God, how are you going to make it in this business? How are you going to make it? How do you help with that? And somewhere someone said it was okay to be tired in front of anybody, right? So we look at pitch perfect presence. I think the first thing I think about is energy and no excuses. You know, even watching those players, they had a couple battles on the field. You know, it got a little ripe out there, right? A little nasty. They say terrible things to each other. Guys must be able to do that, because if a girl ever talked to me like that, I'd never speak to them again. Right? Guys can say, FF and hi, and talk later on. I'll never forget when someone speaks to me that way. That will never roll off my take it personally. Are you kidding me? They were verbally attacked. And but was there energy there because they're so committed to what they have to do?
Well, it's interesting, because that's exactly what the coaches said. Mm-hmm. Said when you see two sides, the offense and the defense, that
go at it,
care about the outcome so much that they'll go at it. That's a good thing. We're fostering something good.
Yeah, well, it scares me half to death. As soon as it starts, I'm thinking someone help them figure it out. It shouldn't have to be that bad, but it also, what happens if the opposite was true? that they didn't care at all. That didn't have. They just couldn't wait till practice. You never heard once, is practice over yet? Is practice over? Can I go home? Is practice over? How much longer? And they were talking about how they have to make sure. I mean, even when they were talking to the new quarterback that we got, Mayfield, and he said, I got a lot of stuff going on, but I'm getting it all in the right position. He goes, you'll figure it out. You know, and I think it's managing those distractions. Businesses have distractions. And many times the distraction is the people's mental attitude, I think, or following the systems. I think that's key.
Well, and particularly, one of the things that they say always when a player goes from the college game to the pro game, that the pro game is so much faster. And what they mean is the plays are happening faster. And to see Baker talk to his coach, and one of the first things when the coach said, how's it going? He said, Coach, it's starting to slow down, meaning he's catching up.
He's catching up.
The game isn't slowing down, but he's catching up, meaning it through his eyes, the game is slowing down. Well, you know what? That happens. That happens in the salon too. There's more to think about. When you think about the fact that in our schools, they might have 2 or 3 hours. They might have 3 or 4 hours, depending on what the service is with the guest. You get into a salon, you haven't got 3 or 4 hours with anybody. You take 3 or 4 hours with a haircut, that guest isn't coming back. So now you've got 45 minutes, or maybe 30 minutes, or maybe at the most an hour. Think the game has sped up? Absolutely, it's sped up. What did they have to be? What kind of a participant did they need to be in order to play at that speed and still honor the system and the culture of that business? And so that's something that I think we need to look at on a regular basis is how are our new people doing when we onboard them? And is it clear? Are they just thrown into the process? Or are we going back and checking on them? Are we seeing if the game is slowing down for them a little bit, or they're catching up to the speed of this game? But the key is it's not just about speed in the salon business, nor is it in football or any other sport. It's about
the mechanics.
It's about the mechanics and the quality. Can we maintain the quality? Can we honor the culture? Can we honor the systems of our salon and do it at such a pace?
Well, and I also love the pitch perfect presence is when you look at these teams, the amount of rooting on that they do to each other that you don't get to hear a lot of times is that the things they're yelling out, like the geese in the air, right? They're rooting each other on. They're screaming out encouragement. They're screaming out redirects. They're screaming out focus. They're screaming out not just encouragement. They're doing a lot of things. Coaches and fellow teammates. Then that's part of the presence too. Is it we know what we're trying to accomplish? I mean, Kobe Bryant, they invited Kobe Bryant into the Alabama and he was amazing, I thought, things he was saying. But the thing that I liked the most is he said, I had a lot of family members and friends saying, hey, you should be playing. And I had to tell them, shut up. Shut up. If I was good enough, I'd be playing. I need to work harder on my game so they can't help but notice me and play me. And sometimes in the salon, we hear, well, you should have better hours. Well, you should be making more percentage, or you should be getting these things from that. And we need to teach them. You will earn in proportion, direct proportion to your effort, your ability to learn, you staying present, you creating raving fans with your teams, raising fans with the salon staff, with the customers, all of that. And I don't know if we're saying that enough. We let them come to their own conclusion a lot. I can tell you, even at Emma's age at 13, people can get in their own head and create this huge distraction that doesn't even exist. Doesn't even exist.
No doubt.
Okay. So how do you visually inspire your guests? And we know that. Do we have banners? Sanitation-wise, scent? how does the place look? How does it merchandise? Is it obvious that we do a lot of colors? Is it obvious that we are grooming experts? Is it obvious visually? How do we inspire our guests? And that's key. When you walk into, even now, Christmas is going up in stores, and I'm thinking, seriously, Christmas? In some case, Hobby Lobby has Christmas up.
Oh, but think about that. I was in Sam's Club the other day picking something up. Sam's Club has a couple of aisles that are already Christmas, but Sam's Club as a business isn't Christmas yet. So they can put some things out that are Christmas, but they haven't converted the feel of their store. They're not full on holiday yet.
They're teasing.
They're teasing. They're available for people that want to start early, but they're really not marketing. They're not visually inspiring in a way that motivates impulse purchases.
Okay. All right. So now let's look at this. How does the sound of the salon inspire your guests? Every business is a song that is playing. What is yours?
Mm-hmm.
So what does it sound like? Because that's what pitch is, perfect pitch. What does it feel like to walk in your business? You know, some people will say, we heard you were coming, Terry, we cleaned all day. Why? What are you cleaning for me for? It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It matters what your guests are enjoying. You know, some people still don't turn all the lights on. Some people don't put the music on the correct way. Some people don't have the fresh coffee going. Some people don't plug in the waxing machine. All that is sound related, all of it. And how do you do that? And how do you make sure that everything's in place? I think companies that do it really well, Disney's a great example of having the disciplines in place. Can you imagine them opening up and saying Mickey Mouse isn't here yet? We haven't seen him.
Or can you imagine walking into one of their parks and the music not being on?
Oh my God. Yeah.
And Disney has a sound.
Yes.
And it's nonstop
and
sound.
people expect
all
that
day long.
sound. And can you imagine if the castle wasn't lit? It's dark. So what is it? And we've got dark areas of businesses that just don't look the part, and we don't inspire our people with sound. I've got a place in town that I walk in and I think, oh, God bless you. There's no way this is going to be open. I don't want to say it out loud, but there's no way. My mom likes to go there. You know what I'm talking about now? Okay, so there's a place that we go to, and the entire time I'm there, it doesn't feel organized. As a restaurant, it feels like they set up tables in the garage. There's no atmosphere to speak of. It looks like a garage, and a big garage, but it looks like a garage. And they did more work on their bar, which no one sits at, than they did the rest of the restaurant, which everyone is sitting at. So I don't know, visually, people didn't understand how to create a mood. They didn't know how to create a sound. There's never any music on, and all you hear is the slamming of dishes. And I think, what is my mom attracted to here? I don't get it. Maybe it's just the soup. But every business has a song, and that one is awful. Terrible.
But you know what? One last thing on sound. I think that when sound is on purpose, you can, at Disney, you go into any one of their shops, they're selling the CDs. There's so much about the music that facility plays that they're selling their sound.
Oh, you hear people singing on the streets. And
you go into Starbucks, even going through the Starbucks line,
CDs are there.
on my app, it tells me what's playing inside the business right now. The song that they're playing is on my app.
You can listen to their Spotify station.
Right.
And then correct to it.
So let's think in another way.
Do we have one?
We have Davines has Spotify stations.
Why don't we have a Spotify?
We use Sirius right now.
Okay.
But interestingly enough, that they do that. They've got their own sound. It is on purpose. They realize that the sound is part of our branding.
Now, what happens if they have the sound right, and then the people go, and you can't hear them through the speaker, or they don't say, see at the window, right? Everything they do complements the intention every which way, right?
now, because from these e-learnings, that I am a big fan of Starbucks. One of the things that I'll tell you is that Starbucks, by and large, has a system that's not being followed by their team in all places. And that's that board where you order when you go through the drive-thru is designed so that you see who you're ordering from. You can see the person that you're ordering from, but they won't turn it on because they don't want to be seen. They're self-conscious about it. So it's just not being used. They've got capacity, but it's not being used. So even in a company that's as organized and as on target and as purposeful.
All right, so why do those employees think they have the choice to do that?
Exactly, but they all do. I mean, I will tell you, out of all of the times, the once or twice a day that I stop by Starbucks, every day of the week, that's been on once. One location, one time. And yet it's available at every single one.
So why is that okay? See, this is the part that I almost want to have brain scans done. Because I would never even feel like I had permission to do that it would be an option for me.
Maybe it is. Maybe Starbucks as a company said that is an option.
Maybe they did say that.
We don't know.
But they invested a lot of money in something that's not being used at all. I mean, once out of maybe 200 or 300 visits,
and
they're not using it.
And this is what I'm thinking about. Just in a conversation, you start to wonder, what can I learn from it? You know me, first thing I'm thinking of is the amount of times our customers said, it's so nice to put a face to a name, right? How can we do that here? Right? How can we do what we just said? Don't know, I went out there. Okay, so you look at pitch perfect, another part of it is every component of service is part of your perfect pitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And every part of your energy, enthusiasm, and commitment. It's not okay to be great with your customers. You've got to create that everywhere you're at. I still maintain I don't understand how a business thinks they're going to be successful when the team walks in and they don't even say good morning. I don't get that. And every time I say that on stage, people go, yeah, we don't say good morning. And it's kind of, how can that be okay?
Well, imagine, and here's the advantage that a sports team has that most businesses don't, but could.
Locker room?
Well, somewhere they have a huddle and they break the huddle. You're leaving a locker room. There's always something. Even what happened last night. They had a guest speaker at the Browns thing. It was Brad Paisley, the country music guy. He had to be part of their breakup of the huddle. They had to teach him. He got to call it out, but he got to call out the 1, 2, 3 Browns.
Mm-hmm.
But they all gathered. They all came in. They wouldn't think about leaving the locker room or leaving a sideline huddle.
That we meet with and say we never meet.
Well,
we rarely meet.
In a salon, they don't. They come in and they work in their space. So where do you ever get that team energy? That's something. See, when I see this slide, I think about pitch perfect, service, perfect or not, energy, right or not, enthusiasm there or not, commitment there or not. One thing is for sure, the person that's judging that every single time in 30 to 60 minute increments is our guest. And it's all of our collective guests in business. You're judging that of us when you do business with PSC or when you come into our Paul Mitchell schools. You're judging that of us. You come into an educational event. You hear us as speakers. You're judging that of us. What is our commitment to service? What is our energy? What's our enthusiasm? That's fair. That's human nature. We all do that. And that's happening all day long in your salon. First guest of the day, last guest of the day. The best stylist on your team, the newest stylist on your team. What is our commitment to that?
Well, or your standards and expectation. When you look at the coaches, you've got to focus on the skills in the playbook. What is your playbook? And pitch perfect should be a header in your playbook. These things. We want this kind of tone, this kind of mood, this kind of style. And then team focus on effort and energy, no excuses. I mean, once you tell them this is what my expectation is in our playbook, their job is to give you effort and energy. And they've got to give you back the commitment, not fight it, give it to you. And, you know, we had a long conversation on the phone about this. It's not your knowledge, it's your leadership. This isn't your knowledge. I mean, many people know football. Very few people can lead a football team. Right?
Sure.
What did I say yesterday? I said, Jim should be
Pro football coach.
the F word was said so much. I said, Jim should be coaching this team. I hope I didn't offend you, Jim. But how can you let someone else lead your team better than you? And the lead your team, this goes back to that, who has the microphone, who's got the playbook, where are we going, what do you expect from me, how often are we checking in, how are we writing where our expectations are. And many people know football. You've got 100,000 people at Ohio State game, 110,000 that know the game of football. Not many people are going to take that head spot downstairs. And many people know and have knowledge of what it's like to get a haircut. Many people have never run a salon. So we have to say, I met with an owner this week that said, I've got room for eight or nine hairdressers. We only have 3. And I said, how much time are you spending on recruiting? Oh, once a quarter. I said, that's not enough. How do you think you're going to fill your salon? And she said, well, most people I meet aren't good enough. I said, then you have to become a training salon. And you have to be a commitment that you can develop talent. Does it take a lot of work? Sure it does. It takes a lot of effort. Good, Brian, 10:58. You know, remember, it's not what you know, it's what you can influence. It's not your knowledge, it's your leadership. How can you help people understand that this is how you pace a guest? This is how we take a guest to the experience. This is how you judge the atmosphere. This is how you know when you're not giving it your all, but you're not 100% in. Even those coaches said, there's many of you that are here. You walk through the door, but you're not here.
Mm-hmm.
You're not. Your intention isn't. Your intention is looking at what you've done versus what you can become.
So it separates. You know, we had a situation with a school tryout this week, and one of the things that took place was that self-doubt and fear was eating our daughter up. And I said, everybody has that.
Oh, I thought you were talking about.
I said, honey, everybody has that.
Yeah.
What sets people apart as they move from one level of competition to another is their ability to turn that energy, that thing that's inside of you that you could label as self-doubt or fear, into a positive energy that allows you to perform. And the ones who can turn that into a positive energy are the ones that play at the next level. And it's just that simple. And it's the same thing whether you watch a college training camp. There's people that are coming to that football practice not knowing. They're either going to let that fear or that self-doubt consume them, or they're going to find a way to turn that into the right kind of energy. Mm-hmm. That's our challenge to you as a business. Everyone has chaos. Everyone's business can be chaotic.
And self-doubt. Every owner has it.
Every owner, every business.
We have it.
Absolutely.
And what do you do with it?
What do you do with it? How do you turn that into a positive energy? How does that bring out the best in you or not? And so we wish you in pursuit of your pitch perfect, in pursuit of creating an amazing guest experience for every guest every time. We wish you a terrific month.
Yes, and here's what we want to say on that. Give your mental attention to the game of your business, not just about the technical work that's going out, but all the things that support, all the mood, the style, the tone that supports that work that's going out. That's what we want you to spend time on.
What do you want the guest takeaway to be as a result of experiencing your salon? How do you want them to feel after they've been serviced by your salon?
Go Browns.
Go Bears.
Bye, everyone.